Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Sunday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. In a game of runs, Syracuse comes out on top as they avoid losing to the worst team in the ACC, adding another sweep to the season, a 75-67 win over Boston College. You'll hear from us, and we'll hear from you in fan feedback. And the Orange hit the road to face Louisville this Wednesday at 6:30. We'll let you know what we think about that. Syracuse still sitting 53rd in the Ken Pom rankings, but they did drop a little in the net after the win, 49th to 52nd. So, currently, as of now, that's where they stand in the net.
Right.
So, anyway, an exciting game. A little bit more exciting than I think it needed to be, I guess. Shouldn't have been so
How exciting it was.
Well, you know, at the end of that game, and we'll get into that. But first, let's hear what Coach had to say after the win.
They did a great job of moving the ball and really getting the ball in some tough places. I thought the second half we did a little bit better job defensively in terms of our defense and in terms of contesting their three-point shooters. But, they made some threes and they did some great things against us. Defensively, they pressured us really hard. Quincy didn't get going early. He's got to get going. The second half, he got going on the boards. We've got a little bit of an advantage there, and we've got to be able to get it to him. Marek started slow and just, he couldn't finish anything. In the second half, he got to the basket and finished, and we got to the foul line. But Joe saved us the first half. He was tremendous. He just kept us in the game. We would have been behind 8 or 10 points at halftime if it wasn't for Joe. I thought Allen had a good start. Then he tried to go when he didn't have it. He's still trying to learn when he's going and doesn't have it, what do I do? And he needs to make better decisions when he makes the move and doesn't have something. The first half, Quincy was off his game, Kadari was off his game, and Joe really, and Marek was probably one of the worst offensive halves he's had this year, and Joe just carried us. He just put us on his shoulders and carried us in the first half. He was tremendous. In the second half, he looked for people, got them the ball, and really, didn't look to score because we were trying to get it inside and get to the foul line. John had a few practices. We've changed the way we're defending the post, so John is a little bit better than the bigger guys at covering corners and doing some things. I thought, he just can't get involved in this altercation down there. Somebody pushed Allen, he got back, then John it was foolish. You got to walk away. We should have had a technical, and it should have been the end of it. And Allen and John engaged in that instead of walking away. That was a mistake, and they have to learn from it. But John gives us a little better presence on the defensive end and covering things. And he's had good practices. Robert's had good practices. Robert tried to do things today that he shouldn't try to do, dribble the ball, and he charged twice. That's not his game. Well, first of all, we have 30,000 seats. I don't think there should have ever been a time this year that we didn't have 10 or 20% of our fans in the building. I don't understand that. They're doing it all over the country. I don't understand. You can space people out at least 10 feet and if it's a family pod or something, but you can space people out 10 feet just to get them in the building, just so they can come in the building. People that would maybe have better seats would be happy to be in the building for a game. I don't understand it. I've never understood it. I've never understood the whole thing with restaurants. It makes absolutely no sense to me.
Me either. Amen to that. If there was ever an amen moment on the show, that's it. Amen. Because I haven't gotten that for quite some time. In fact, maybe, I don't know, since mid-August last year. So it looks like if everything goes good, looks like there should be fans there for the game against UNC at home. And also, they're talking about putting another makeup game in at the end of the season after that game. So depending on where that is, if it's a home game, obviously, you get fans in there for that. So good news, good news, good news. So the best news that we could get anyway. So good thing our stadium's huge because, 30,000, we get 3,000 people in there, right? That's the way I see it. So anyways, that's all great. That's all great. The Coach Montage is brought to us by the title sponsor for the Cuse Nation and Armchair Media, and that is Bet Online. Football's over. Pro basketball is here. College basketball, obviously, in full swing. NHL is doing its thing. And NASCAR starts today. Happy Daytona 500 Day to all of you. To all of you.
It's going to get rained out. Why don't you just say pro racing or pro hockey? You get to say all their other ones.
Pro hockey's called NHL, Joe, and pro racing's called NASCAR. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. I can't hear you. So, Bet Online. They cover award shows, TV shows, reality TV, real-time updated odds and props, and almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. Head over to the website today. Use your mobile device. Sign in. Sign up. Receive 50% as a welcome bonus for your first deposit. Use the promo code ARMCHAIR for that. That is 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit using the promo code ARMCHAIR. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Thank you, BetOnline. Okay, so, Joe, just chill. Okay, chill. The good, the bad, the ugly. The good. Well, anyone that knows me knows I'm all about the script jerseys, and they're the best. Hands down. I don't think there's an argument that can be made to convince me otherwise. So, good. Orange started the game 5 for 10 from the line before making 13 straight to finish the game, which was awesome. I was keeping an eye on that, and they got to the line quite a bit, which is also good. Joe with a game-high 16 points, adding 6 rebounds and 3 steals on the day. Good first half for him. Griffin followed him up with 14 and 8. In fact, the starting 5 all ended up in double figures, shooting 45% from 3 and 48% from the field. And another game-winning battle on the boards, +4 at the end of the day. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. The bad, 17 turnovers for Syracuse. This could have been in the ugly, by the way, and I debated it, but I didn't have anything else to put here because I put something else in the ugly. The 17 turnovers, many unforced. Buddy got pickpocketed a couple times, ended up on the floor, tried to fight back and get it, but he lost both of those battles. Up by 12 coming down the last 2 minutes of the game. 3 straight turnovers. In ensuing possessions, resulting in 6 points for Boston College. They cut the lead to 6, and it looked like it could have been ugly. So they're going to have to clean this up as we head towards the last 5-6 games of the season. They're not going to be able to win games like that against the competition that is slated ahead. The ugly, Boston College, 9 for 31, 29% from distance. Pretty ugly, and I'm just glad that we're not talking about, Syracuse's shooting for the past 2 games. It's been pretty good, so I'll take that. Joe, a sloppy game at times, but Syracuse responded every time BC threatened to take the lead or even cut into it significantly. But with Louisville, Notre Dame, Duke, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina, as I said, and maybe a possible makeup game in there, hopefully, they're not going to be able to play that sloppy and to pull out a win heading down the stretch. So now maybe you can make an argument that, they're playing a little bit more loose because it's Boston College. And Joe trying to be a little cute with the pass and, things like that. But 17, Quincy, and just, it's too much. Too much. What do you think?
Quincy immediately coming out after he tried to throw that behind the back pass that went off his heel.
That's
just ridiculous.
Just dumb mistakes, avoidable things they probably don't do against, Notre Dame, Louisville, Duke, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina. But
it's you knew how bad Boston College was. They only won 3 games, right? We understand this coming in, so you just want to see. These are one of those games where you're not nervous, but you just want to see them play good, and you hope that nothing crazy happens. And they just they still allowed it just to stay on that cusp. And I think that this game, when you watch this as a Syracuse fan, you're like, okay, yeah, we won, but it left a little bit to be desired. Like you wanted to see a little bit more out of that, I feel like. And we really didn't. So again, we just got to take and continue to take the one game approach. But we just continue to make things more difficult for ourselves. Just not passing the ball around, settling for bad jumpers. There's a couple little at times when we did that a couple possessions in a row, with Kadari and Alan Griffin, we had 5 players in double figures, and Kadari, it seemed like when he was driving and doing what we know he could do, he was actually playing well. It's just, again, they just made it a little bit more difficult. I think we started hitting early because Boston College started the game in a zone, and then they ended up coming out and playing, really aggressive man-to-man, and I think that kind of messed us up when that happened, but we ended up figuring it out, getting it down to Quincy, and again, everybody contributed, but I feel like you wanted to see a little more there. I wanted to see a little more.
Yeah, I wanted to see a little bit more. I didn't think it was going to be that close. And by exciting, when I said exciting earlier, I meant that coming down those last 2 minutes with the 3 turnovers back to back to back, and in Boston, here comes Boston College with the momentum. Right. I'm just like, come on. I mean, there wasn't really a point in time where I thought, Syracuse is going to blow this, but I mean, it didn't look good.
Yeah,
it was a possibility.
And with the fouls, right? The foul trouble. So Griffin was out for a little while, and Kadari made some mistakes. And then when you're bringing in Braswell made some mistakes. I mean, he played 6 minutes, had 3 turnovers, so can't really do that. And then you see John Baljack come in, and you're like, okay. So I mean, just some things that we normally wouldn't see in a close game that we're worried about. So. He subbed a little bit more, but obviously all the starting 5 got 30 minutes, and obviously Joe was playing well, so that's why he played more than Kadari. So yeah, like I said, good overall win. Don't like the turnovers. We still are right there with the steals, blocks, and obviously out rebounding them. And we shot at a pretty high percentage. Again, our free throw shooting is. It's good to know that when we do get in position at the end of the games, that our free throw shooting is good enough to kind of seal the deal.
Yeah, Syracuse shooting, I believe it's still 79% as a team for the year, and they were sitting at 5 out of 10 there, and I was just wondering, is this gonna get better? I mean, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna blow it? And they hit them all at the right time. Those 13 in a row were all right towards the end of the game. They were all within the last 5 minutes. And by the way, Mark played with 4 fouls for quite some time too. I believe it was even over 5 minutes. Yeah. So and you're thinking, 5 minutes is a lot of time on a clock for basketball. Yeah. And anything can happen. And so I'm just, you don't want to lose to the worst team in the ACC. And we didn't. We didn't. And that's all we had to do. It wasn't pretty. It was sloppy at times. But that's all we had to do.
It was a different game plan too. When you remember when we beat them the first time, when we scored over 100 points, didn't we hit like 16 threes, like 16 out of 31 or something ridiculous? Like it was. But now you see it's a team where we've been shooting less threes. We've been trying to try to drive and get to the free throw line and score in different ways to set up open 3-pointers. And when you look at this game, obviously Jim Christian didn't want he wasn't going to allow us to shoot the threes like we did last time. So that's why we had to kind of go to driving and getting the 2-pointers and getting it down to other people and moving the ball around. And that's, I think, why we, that's part of the game that we still need to work on. But I mean, we only went 5 for 11. We only shot 11 threes yesterday. So that's probably a season low. And we still hit 5 of them. And again, it just proves that when you can actually score and drive and get it down low, then it just opens up good looks out there. So we just need to work at it more. And,
16 to 31 against Boston College first time around.
Yeah. So. Yeah, 5 for 11 yesterday.
Right.
So, but we out rebounded them, and again, that's usually one of the main targets that we look for. I don't think we've lost a game where we've won the rebounding battle this year. So.
No, we haven't, and that's 2 in a row, winning the battle there, and back to what Captain Patrick says, if we keep it close, we're in any of these games, and we've gotten crushed by 17 a couple times, once against UNC, once against Clemson. And obviously the Clemson game was a disaster, but the UNC game was actually pretty close. We actually had a shot to win that game, even as bad as the rebounding was. So,
right.
And that was at North Carolina. So what do you think about Coach talking about, hey, our game, they've changed their game plan. I mean, it's been clear, but it's what they do the best this year so far, and that is to try to drive, get to the rim, and create a situation where you're putting some guys in foul trouble and get them a little paranoid about playing you tough. But it's difficult to do when you don't know what's going to be a foul and what's not from like minute to minute. It's very difficult. I can't imagine to play basketball at this level and not know where your line is, and just having things be so inconsistent. And I'm not saying that we got hosed in any way, because I saw a lot of stuff on both sides, and I feel like we got away with a couple. Boston College, I feel like it was fair in that sense. Just inconsistency, though. It's really tough to watch.
Yeah, that's when you come in game to game, right? As a team, there's always going to be a kind of a feel out period, and you just hope that really what you do is you just hope that the refs, that they're going to set the standard early on what's going to be a call and what's not going to be a call, and then you just hope that they stay consistent. I think what you saw yesterday was a group that
they weren't on the same page.
They weren't on the same page. I think that they were missing calls, which then again was turning into makeup calls.
Yes.
And when you're going back and forth trying to kind of
appease
make it even,
everybody,
you're making it even based upon calls made or calls missed or bad calls.
It's confusing to everybody.
It can definitely be confusing.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
kind of what that kind of was yesterday. So
right. So, anyways, all right, it's time to hear from you.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, what's up, everybody? You know what to do. At the end of every game, ask for your thoughts on the game. You give them. We talk about them here. So, with that said, let's have at it. There was a lot of good stuff, a lot of different things. Okay, so I'll get to as much of this as I can. There was a couple long ones, and I'll do my best with those. So. Steve on Facebook says, BC played hard, gave all poor quality officials, made it difficult to play and watch. ACC deserves better officials. Overall, good effort by team. Good to see different people in. Still hopeful. Okay. Steve with some positivity. Yeah, we talked about the refs. Yeah, the ACC needs to get together and need to figure that out, okay, as a whole, because it's not something that's a one-off, unfortunately. Seems to be... it seems to be. And if you want to be picky, you could, just like with any game. But seriously, the ACC, we come on, we talk about it enough. So, anyways, BC did play hard. When you lose as much as Boston College, you're coming into games, with probably a little bit more pep in your step. We killed them last game, 101-63.
Yeah.
So they're out for revenge. It didn't happen, but it was close enough to make you pucker up a little bit. So good effort, sloppy. Anyways, Mahir, top fan on Facebook. I'm gonna get some crap for saying this, but I don't like that performance. Well, I agree. I think the performance sucked. So overall, if I had to grade it, it'd be like a C. BC played hard. I think they gave Cuse everything they had. One can argue that a game like this is good to tough it out, but I really wish we had the chance to see Jesse or Woody today. I eat crow. Gerard looked like his freshman self. Great to see that. Really weird game. Somehow Cuse scored 75. Also hope Griffin continues to be a leader on this team with his play. A win is a win, and it moves them up in the standings. Well, a win over a team like that actually did not help them much at all. In fact, they moved back in the net. So, but that was one where you lose and you're going to drop. You're definitely going to take 10 spots in the net probably.
Yeah, right. That was one of those you can't lose games if you want to be taken seriously when it comes time for bubble talk. we knew that, and we took care of business. Like I said, I'm right there with you here. Like I said, you want, if you're going to be a tournament team, you want to feel good about your team, and you want your team to come out and kind of win a little bit more handily than we did. But you just can't have those lazy spells that we had of lazy defense and lazy passing, ball handling, not being strong with the ball, those kind of things. You just can't do that against good teams, like you said, like the teams that are coming up that we're going to be playing here shortly. You can't do that against those teams and expect to win.
He said he really wished we had a chance to see Jesse or Woody today.
Jesse was in there for a minute.
What's that?
Jesse was in there for a minute.
A minute, if I remember right. Yeah. A minute.
You saw him.
Well, you heard Coach say, what they've changed up on defense fits John Bolzak a little bit better. And had Bolzak not gotten into the little kerfuffle that was down there with Alan Griffin, you might have in what's his name, Heath.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he would not gotten involved in any of that, you might have seen a little bit more of him. But you get in there for 2 minutes and that happens, and Coach is going to yank you, plain and simple.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you expect out of that. Alex, must win, and we got it. Kind of feel like Gerard was playing for his minutes, so he had to spark under his ass. Well, that's quite possible. I mean, the kids hear the rumors too, right, Joe? And plus, they know. I mean, let's be honest, they just know. They're the ones playing the game.
The last two games, Kadari's played more than you, and you're the starter. So yeah, you want to go in there and obviously play good and better so that you can stay out there longer than the other guy, right? I mean, that's right in the game,
right? And he didn't really. He might have forced one, but still at the end of the day, not the way he had been earlier in the year, and even maybe a few games ago. A little bit more controlled for Joe.
Oh, I think it's a lot more. I think that he forces some every once in a while, but like
everybody's going to do that though. Shooters are going to do that.
Now it's at a point where it's pretty much just like once a game.
Yeah,
it's like he's kind of like in a little groove, in a little rhythm. Maybe had some nice plays, back to back, had some points and feels it. And he's feeling it, and then he takes that shot. And it ends up being bad. And then he looks over and Boeheim gives him that look. And he's like, all right, if I do that again, I'm coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So, and to piggyback on that, Matt says, Joe carried us the entire first half, really had a nice game. And our defense is literally better with any combination other than our starting lineup, which is sad. Kadari comes in for Griffin, move Buddy to the 3. That's better. Literally any. And then he goes on to say, Sean has a chance to redeem himself because I want to point out that as soon as BC gets back to Boston, you guessed it, probably going out to eat, which is reference to. So the last time he mentioned that, and you and I were like, well, I don't get it. Well, he sent me the link. That was when that senior, I don't remember his name, man. Remember Boston College's year? They went like 7-25. Yes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they lost the first round of the ACC championship, and they asked the dude, "What are you going to miss most about college?" He did break down crying, and he said, "Going out to eat." So, So hey, look, you could still go out to eat, bud. It's okay. So, anyways, pretty funny. Let's see. All right, Jesse. Jesse has written a book. Jesse, top fan on Facebook. He has written a book, and that's fine. But I'm just going to sum it up. He says, I got thoughts and a question. And basically, oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Let's go back to Matt's real quick. Sorry, because I wanted to mention this. The defense is literally better with any combination other than our starting lineup, which is sad. So, I mean, there's truth to that, right? So, and Buddy at the 3 looks good. So
Kadari, we know Kadari's pretty much our best defender in the top of the 2-3 zone. So yes, our defense is automatically better when he gets in there, regardless of how they shuffle around the rest of the players.
Yep, and he's averaging 2 steals a game with the minutes he's playing right now. So that's pretty good.
Problem is, you got 5 starters that all average double digits and all scored double digits, and that's our best scoring lineup for the most part normally.
Right. You got Griffin and Quincy right there with 15.8 for Griffin, 15.5 for Quincy. So Jesse, he says he's got thoughts and a question, and it's really long, but I'm going to sum this up, Joe, and I want to get your thoughts. He said he was really hoping to see something he hadn't seen before. We are 1-4 against good teams this year: Rutgers, Virginia Tech, UNC, and Clemson. What are we currently doing probably won't help us beat good teams, which we will be seeing the rest of the way. And what he says is, what he goes on to say is, he was hoping to see some type of, Boeheim the chemist, and get in there and switch some things up and see what he's got to just play around with the last easier game of the season, which would make sense. And what I would say is it makes sense. Okay. It would be nice. Yes. But
is there like specifics in there?
They never got ahead enough to really play around, in my opinion. It was always,
But what are we playing around? What do you mean?
With the lineup.
What are we talking about?
With the lineup. The lineups don't really change except a quick cameo from role players. I was really hoping to see Buddy and Joe off the floor together for the first time this season for 2 minutes, even if they were having a good game. I think this team could have made the tournament and potentially been a very tough out, but it's easy to prepare for Cuse if what we are doing isn't working and we're not adjusting in a real way. That's what he's saying. I don't know what you would have liked to have seen, but I mean, obviously
Sounds like
well, I know where Jesse stands. You know where Jesse stands. I mean, he wants to see Kadari start. He's one of those, and that's fine.
He wants to see what it looks like.
And he wants to see the centers.
Kadari and Griffin up top.
Yes.
At the top of the 2-3 zone.
And Buddy and Quincy. And then
no. He just said with Buddy and Joe off the floor at the same time.
Oh, that's right.
So then anybody else down low, you're going to have Quincy and you're going to have Marek, and it's whether or not you have, well, obviously if Sidibe can play or if you think John Boljak can come in and you can stay big. And also there's a situation where you can throw a Braswell in there and keep Doljai in the middle. So I understand where he's coming from with seeing something different. If that's,
I guess
that's about the only thing. That's about the only thing that we have available that's different. I mean, I think that there's a clear line drawn in the sand as far as like, I don't know what people are going to expect from like Jesse Edwards, John Boljak, even a Braswell, and even a Woody Newton at this point. I wouldn't expect anything. If Braswell's got to come in and play 4-5 minutes and hopefully play some defense and hit a shot or something, then that's one thing. But I mean, there's a clear line in the sand as far as who's talented enough to play double-digit minutes, and it goes about 6 deep unless Sidibe's healthy.
Yeah, which we're probably not going to see this year. So, yeah,
right. So really, the only way I could see that possible to see what Jesse wanted was Kadari and Griffin up top with Marek and Quincy. Did I say Quincy or Griffin?
You said
Kadari and Griffin up top,
right?
With Quincy and Marek and a Braswell down low,
right?
But we had too many people in foul trouble yesterday to do that. Mark got in foul trouble. That's why you saw John Boljak coming for 2 minutes and Jesse Edwards coming for 1, and then Griffin was in foul trouble. So I think that's probably the main reason why you weren't going to see that yesterday. But also, who knows if that's even really in the mix?
That right? And I think we know what we got. I mean, we got to remember too, and I know it's hard because we haven't seen it, but Coach knows what he's got. I mean, they do practice. And so he does see it. So he does know what we have. And he does know what's going to work. Early in the season, that's when you play around with this stuff, and we always see him doing it. And once you kind of get into, especially, with this year, conference play just was like, boom. We're like, oh, there we are. We're playing conference ball now. This is it. So once you get into that, there's really not a whole lot of playing around unless you see something in practice that's going to make a big difference. And like he said, they did have changed the defense around a little bit to suit more of a Boljak. And I think that, I don't know if that's new or old, but that's definitely probably something they realized when, I
don't like it.
You don't like it?
I think it's telling.
In what way?
That you're going to make an adjustment on your defense so that you can get somebody else to play. I mean, that pretty much gives me it tells me what confidence he has in being able to rely on Barama being healthy this year.
Well, that was what I was about to say, was that I don't know how recently they came up with that game plan, but obviously it was because they just feel like that he's not going to be able to finish out the season. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like we've come to terms with that, though.
Right, which is tough for me because realistically, again, coming into this year, with what Barama did last year, I was just so excited.
I know,
because that would have changed everything. Because it would have been Barama in the middle with a 3-forward lineup with Quincy, Marek, and Griffin, and then a 3-guard lineup with Buddy, Joe, and Kadari. You go 7 deep. Wouldn't really have to worry about any of the other guys, right?
Yeah, he adds a ton. He adds a ton to what you could have on the floor.
So this has been us trying to figure it out without a true big man this year.
Yeah, and it looks like, I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to go ahead and make an adjustment and do something different. You got to do something different to have at least something for the end of the year. You got 2 tournaments coming up, and you got to do something. And so
I think it was a situation where Boeheim was hoping that Barama was going to be able to come back.
Yeah.
And that, they weren't going to have to rely on one of the other bigs to have to play. And now I think seeing with where Barama was after playing one game with 10 minutes and how his knees were sore, that he's seeing that he has to do something. Because with the lineup that we have, we could play good, we could win some games, but when it comes down to tournaments and playing like real talent, we're not going to beat those teams because we're going to get out rebounded and we're going to lose. And that's pretty much what we've proven.
Right. All right. We will be right back with the second half of Jesse's comment and the rest of the comments and a look ahead to Louisville right after this. All right. One more thing before we get started back up. Bet Online, the title sponsor for Cuse Militia and Armchair Media. Look, college basketball, full swing. NHL in full swing. NASCAR starts off isn't going to be in full swing today. Where do you go? Where do you bet? Go to Bet Online. They cover award shows, TV shows, and reality TV. Real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. Bet Online has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It is the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. So go over there today. Use your mobile device, go to their website, sign up, and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit if you use the promo code ARMCHAIR. That's a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit by using the promo code ARMCHAIR. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. Thank you, Bet Online. Okay, so back to Jesse real quick. He has a question. And, is it hyperbole? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. You tell me, Joe. Why would Kadari want to stay at Cuse another year? He is better than who he is playing behind and is continually not getting the minutes Joe gets. Kadari could actually be an NBA player, but won't be averaging less than 20 minutes. He isn't getting time to develop in games like this or cupcakes at the beginning of the season. And he goes on and he makes a case. He compares him to Michael Carter Williams again, and which are similar numbers. And so, well, look, what's your response to that, Joe? I'll piggyback off of what you say.
Just the fact that obviously everybody knew that Joe and Buddy was going to be the starters coming in this year. And I think that Kadari has grown. He's grown leaps and bounds and obviously gotten to the point where if he's playing good, then he's going to get right around what Joe's getting. And realistically, I just think that as long as he works hard, then he's going to be able to be the starter next year.
Yeah. And
obviously Jim Boeheim's not going to, he's not going to hold somebody back from.
He's not going to hold somebody back just because he wants to hold them back or he thinks one way or another, or he's too young or whatever. Well, I would say this. The past 2 games he's gotten, 25 minutes and 28 minutes. And he was playing really good. Yesterday, he didn't play as good, and Joe was playing good.
Right. So
I don't know, if there's going to be games where he gets those minutes. There's going to be games where he doesn't, and it's just going to that's called sports. That's just how it works. He's not the quarterback, so it's a little bit different, and that's how it's going to work. Next year, this kid's going to ball out next year. And, we're going to be able to, we don't know what next year looks like yet. You still have a possibility of a Mark coming back, of a Sidibe coming back. Right. And this team will be what we wanted this year, but better. And that's a possibility, right? So, and now we know what we've got with Kadari. And also, you heard Coach, we played it earlier in the year when he's talking about Woody, and he's told Woody, he's like, this is a free year. This is a free year. You got next year to really start developing. So we're going to see more Woody. I know people are calling for Woody. But obviously, he's not ready. Otherwise, he'd be playing, guys. That's the thing. I mean, Coach isn't going to hold you back if he thinks you can contribute and help this team win. There's no way. Right. No coach will do that.
Right.
So
and then obviously too, it's Kadari Richmond. Don't get me wrong; he was a good recruit, but he's not a 5-star McDonald All-American. Like, I'm coming to your school to start kind of guy. I don't know who he is kind of personally. He seems like a quiet kid. And obviously he's coming in and he's competing, and you can see it. I saw it a couple times yesterday when Kadari was in, but Joe was handling the ball, and he made a mistake, and Coach was like yelling for Kadari, and to like Kadari, like, yell for the ball, ask for the ball.
Yeah.
Like, he wants, when Kadari's in there, he wants him to be the floor general. He knows he has it in him. It's just he still has the confidence issues, and he still has the certain situations where he's got to understand that, hey, they're giving you that jumper for a reason, and you're going to have to work on your jumper, and you're going to have to work on just overall confidence and just being a team leader, because that's what they need. And you can see Jim trying to push it and just tell him, because like I said, there was a specific play yesterday. I forget the exact mistake. That I think that was the pass. Remember the pass that went between Kadari and Buddy, and it was Joe was coming down, and he passed it, and it just went completely out of bounds and like slammed against the backboard or the board on the side.
Yeah, that was Joe's pass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was after that. When you see that, like, you look at Jim or whatever, and then they showed him, and
he yelled at them both. He yelled at Joe and he yelled at Kadari.
Well, he yelled at Joe, but when he yelled at Kadari, he said, "Kadari,
you're the one with the ball.
Yell for the ball.
Yeah.
Scream for the ball." Like,
right.
So, like, you're the point guard. When he's in there, he's the guy. So you can see even in that situation, Jim thinks that he's the floor general. He's the leader. He's the point guard. Yes, when Joe's in there and Kadari's not, then he is. But obviously, that's pretty telling too. And I've always talked about how I think that Joe plays a little bit better off the ball as a shooting guard. And if we can get the year advancement as far as from freshman to sophomore, and he can get that confidence and everything, I think that there's no doubt he's our starting point guard next year, because Jim can see it. And to have Joe and Buddy come off the bench, switching on and off shooting guard, and sometimes even playing them both with Joe, with Buddy down at the 3. So there's options there, but just right now, it doesn't seem like he has the confidence or consistency. He can come and he can play hella defense in the top of that 2-3 zone, but there's still some freshman things that is not allowing him to kind of be exactly who Jim needs him to be.
Yeah, and he just wasn't making the impact yesterday that he normally does, and I mean, that's going to happen. So he still played 15 minutes. So
yeah,
he still almost got.
I don't think he's not going to transfer. I mean, he's.
Well, that was the other thing. He's not. I don't think that's going to happen.
At the end of the year, you're averaging over playing half the game. You're not going to.
You're only going to go up from there. You've already developed a relationship and camaraderie with these guys, and I just don't see it. I'm not that worried about it. I might be worried about maybe a couple other people, but I'm not worried about that one.
Plus, I'm not worried about Jim and the coaches telling him. Making sure he knows their plans for him. Like, we have plans for you. You're just not there yet, right? Like, that's why you always see him coaching up on the sidelines, and he's out there, or he's not starting, and he's on the sideline, kind of trying to dissect what's going on, what the other team's doing, and then trying to get him a coaching head start before he gets in there. So there's still some things that he needs to learn, but you can definitely see that once he gets that, the rest of whatever he's missing as far as the jumper and confidence and
once he finds his shot, forget it. And we thought he did. Because
you see what happens when he gets the confidence and he gets on the floor. He just makes play after play after play, but then it looks like
relentless.
All it takes is one mistake for him to just shoot him right back down.
Yeah. At one Kev Nash on Twitter with his top 5. I give him the shout out because he does the top 5. It's like his thing. So 1, glad to see a hot first half from JG. 3, too many turnovers, number 2. 3, sneaky good game from Griffin. 4, huge opportunity on Wednesday. 5, I'll take it. Go Cuse. So 2 things. Well, 3, too many turnovers. We touched on that. Griffin was quiet, and then you look at the stat sheet and you're like, well, he did a really good job. He did. I mean, I think Ken Pom had Stephen Mitchell as the MVP, but,
Really?
Yeah. His offensive rating was 145. So, and when you do the offensive rating things, and I don't know. I just know the higher the number, the better. And I also know that 100's decent. So you only had Quincy, out of, below 100 at 93. And we haven't seen that a lot. We usually see, a couple of them. I mean, Joe's been as low as like a 40 or something before. So, yeah. But Griffin had a good game. I mean, he's a solid player every day. And like Coach said, he just needs to work on what to do in certain situations instead of panicking or trying to do something that is out of his
wheelhouse.
Out of his wheelhouse, in a sense that maybe the position he's in. I'm not talking about talent, but maybe the position that he's in where he is on the court. So, and also huge opportunity on Wednesday. Yes, we will get into that. And Kev's going to take the win. At Tony Staffieri on Twitter. Before folks make the mistake of using the phrase "they played down to their competition," be reminded good teams don't care how good or bad the opponent is. They compete for 40. And I responded to this one. It's one of the first ones I saw. So I responded yesterday. And I think that Syracuse did play hard the whole game. I don't feel like they played down to their competition. I just feel like they were sloppy. And that's my opinion. I don't feel like they played down to their competition. They shot the ball really good. They did have some lulls on defense mostly. But they got on the boards good. They just turned the ball over way too much. Bottom line. Yeah. I mean, they don't turn.
Like I said, they made things more difficult for themselves.
Yes, they did. They're their own worst enemy most of the time.
Yeah. By just being nonchalant or lackadaisical or not strong with the ball, or you just take bad shots because, hey, we're up 14 and I'm making everything, so I'm just going to take this shot or just keep doing just keep practicing. Keep practicing your craft as a team, moving the ball around and getting easy baskets. But
when they move the ball,
try to do too much.
Yeah. When they move the ball and they were getting inside, like most notably against NC State in the last game, that's really good. They do, and they did it a lot in the beginning of the year too. Actually, where they were really good at moving the ball, and then they just. There was a stint of a few games where they were relying on the 3. And I think, you have to go through some of that sometimes to realize, okay, it's not really our thing, and this is our thing. And it was good to hear Coach say, our thing is driving the ball and getting to the line. Because we've talked about that. And obviously, I think, and I'm not saying we're smarter than the next. I think that everybody can see it. But, it's just good to see to hear him say that and know that that's their game plan going forward. Yeah. So it gives me a little confidence.
Yeah, got to know your strengths and set them up.
That's right. At DV Con, Boeheim inexplicably hates Kadari Richmond. So I think that's the worst take I've seen all season. He doesn't inexplicably hate Kadari Richmond. That's dumb. His argument, and I said something back, or I quoted the tweet. And he said, well, explain to me why he didn't put him in the last 10 minutes of the game. And 2 things can be true at the same time, Joe. He could have maybe would have should have put him in towards the end of the game there. Or he does not hate him. So I agree that maybe there should have been a Kadari Richmond on the floor towards the end of that game, especially after Buddy had a couple issues with the ball handling, to say the least, in clutch moments of the game. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. I just disagree with the takes from Syracuse fans that Boeheim wants to hold Kadari back, or that he doesn't like him, or that Boeheim's just too stupid and can't coach, and that's why Kadari doesn't play as much. I just think it's dumb, and that's the worst way to put it. So I figured I'd point that out.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and just say no comment because I don't want to get too angry. But that's really, really dumb.
It's dumb. Yeah. It's dumb. I mean, look, I mean, I don't understand all the negativity coming out of this game against Boston College being a win, which is all we had to do. And it was played a little sloppy, and how we can't just be like, oh man, be like Cuse Waterboy. It was an ugly win, but it was a win, and I'll take it. And that at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
See, my whole thing is that it's like I don't even know. I don't want to speculate, but obviously you have the temperature of the world now and what happens on social media and everything like that. So I'm not going to speculate on personal comments because obviously there's many, many fans that think this and everything like that. But Jim Boeheim is going to do what he has to do to win games. He doesn't care if he has to sit his son. He doesn't care if he has to sit Joe. He doesn't care. Like, he's going to do what he thinks he has to do. So this whole, just perception that he would
put the teams
play Buddy more or start Joe over Kadari because he doesn't like him or for any other reason that I'm not going to speculate. Again, it's a situation where it's ridiculous. Jim Boeheim is a coach that wants to win, and he's proven nothing over all of his years that he is going to play the players that he thinks gives them the best chance to win.
Right, and you just got to trust him. And yeah, he's old, okay? Well, he just while he's here, I think he knows what he's doing.
But again, it's because it's his son. Now it's he's playing his son because what? He's going to do what he needs to do to win the game.
Yeah, at the end of the
bottom line.
Yeah.
I am a North Carolina State fan. When I talk to these guys at work, and I'm like, yeah, these guys, they hate on Buddy. Some of them, and some of these fans, they think that the coach plays him all too much because he's his son, and every single one of them like, I'll take him on my team.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like going back to the Gerard thing when we talk about, how bad, if you remember his senior year in high school before he made his decision, how bad Syracuse fans wanted Joe and what a hot commodity he was coming into that year. And we get him, and now I just see people trashing him, which, look, fans... I feel like fans have the right.
He's not in this year. He was so 2020.
He was so 2020. He was so 2020. Like the stonewashed jeans, those are coming back. Maybe Joe will come back.
He was so 2020. 2021's Kadari.
Yeah. Well, I think fans have a right to say whatever the hell they want. I mean, they buy the product, they buy the tickets, they purchase the merchandise, and I don't have a problem with it. It's just when it gets ignorant like that, it's just dumb. I think it's dumb. Do it like this. At If Not Now, When 84. First half, much cleaner than the second. I would have liked to see Kadari and Robert Braswell in the second half more, but at least it's a W. That's okay. Great. Okay. That's fine.
Every fan's going to have their fan favorites that they want to see more.
Right. Well, Kadari was, like I said, man, I want to see Kadari too. I would have liked to seen him in the last 5 minutes of that game, but we didn't.
There was a couple times where I could have. I said it.
Yeah.
Here comes Kadari, but then nothing.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we won.
Exactly. At K Nabiwaniak, had a feeling this would be a close one. All you can do is take the win and move on. Nice first half from Joe, but him and Buddy are scary when pressured. Where was Kadari in the second half? But
are you doing this on purpose?
No, I'm not. This is just how it ended up. So, besides the Kadari thing, Joe and Buddy, when they're pressured, Buddy, man, it scares you too. Okay, it scares me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we need to clean that up, and they do a good job breaking the full court. But when they get into the half court, it's scary. It's scary, and they move too fast. I think sometimes for their own good. So, which is the point of that. right? So it works, But that's it for fan feedback. I want to thank all of you for partaking in such, and we'll do it again after Louisville. So appreciate all of you who did that. One more thing before we hit up Louisville, Joe. 3. What?
No, it's lap 3 Daytona.
Is it? It's on?
Yeah.
Joe's holding up his 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Proud of you. Proud of you for that. I was going to say something about the rumor. Should I, Joe? Should we? Real quick. Huh? No?
I mean, I don't think so.
It was a social media rumor. Okay, well, we'll leave it be.
It was a social media rumor. I mean,
well, we got to talk about it now. Quickly. I'll do it. I'll make this quick. So Joe saw somewhere on social media that someone had said Woody Newton scrubbed all of his Syracuse stuff off his social sites. Okay, well, I just went and checked his Twitter, which is the first one I went to, and he's still got Syracuse stuff up there. So that's not entirely true. So, I mean, know, for what it's worth. Because Joe did note to me that he saw Woody yesterday, and he looked like a Mortal Kombat character. So it had me wondering. I'm like, well...
No, he never really looked like he was in a situation where he was expecting to go into the game. So that's really all I meant about that. But, there's obviously a bunch of games. There's a bunch of people that are intrigued by Woody because of some of the games that he's had and what he's shown. So obviously, if he doesn't play or he doesn't start seeing minutes, then there's going to be people that are going to be asking and speculating anyway. So if there's anything like that, I'm sure we're going to be able to read between the lines from a Jim Boeheim comment.
Well, and that's how it goes now. Like you said earlier, once they start deleting things off of their social media, that's how you know. So, but apparently, as far as I could see, that didn't happen. So if you heard that, just chill. It's fine for right now. Syracuse will hit the road yet again, take on 11-4, 6-3 Cardinals. Not much has changed since the preview we already did, and I'll attach that entire preview at the end of what we're about to talk about now, because the only thing that really has changed is that they've gone 2 weeks without any live action. It'll be 16 days by the time they play Syracuse. So we will attach the preview that we already did, but to just talk about this real quick, Joe, Louisville sitting 34th in both Ken Pom and the net. That makes this a quad 1 game. Typically, you don't think about a recent pause for a team being a benefit to the team on pause, but, which bodes well for Syracuse, I guess, but you just never know. And, either way, it's just a golden opportunity for Syracuse to go on the road and get a quad 1 win and put a win streak together. So, what do you think, Joe? With that said, too, Virginia Tech also sitting 33rd. So if they keep moving up, that's going to become a quad 1 win. But what do you have to say about the pause, Joe?
I mean, it's tough because you never know what it's going to do to another team. You don't really know if, like you said, if they're in a groove and then something happens, if the practice time is going to help. I don't know if there was, obviously they had 3 games canceled and they haven't played, obviously, like you said, so since February 1st. So, who knows who is sick? I mean, this is all stuff that we're just not going to know, who was sick? How bad was it? Did they have to quarantine and they couldn't practice? This is all stuff that we really don't know. We just know that there's 16 days since they've had their last game. And it was a 16-point win against Georgia Tech. And I'm sure they're going to be hungry to get out there and play against somebody else and get this season back rolling. So we always knew that this was not going to be an easy game. But, again, they are down. And the good start would be stopping Carlick Jones, averaging 17.5 points a game. And keeping them off the boards. I mean, we know that's really what it's going to be. They're going to play in your face defense. They're not really going to give you too many easy things. And those are really just the key things that we got to look at. It's always tough coming off of quarantine
You don't know. You don't know what you're going to get.
Know.
So our what we think about the quarantine in Louisville coming off of quarantine is that we don't know. I mean, you're going to get one or the other.
And their adjusted defense in Ken Palm is top 30. So the last team that we played that was top 30 or even top 20 for that being said was Clemson. And you saw how hard it was for us to score. So,
yeah. So, all right.
You just never really know, man.
All right. This coming up is the pre-recorded preview for Louisville a couple episodes ago. Georgia Tech this afternoon, a 74-58 win for the Cardinals. David Johnson had 24 points, went 6 for 11 from 3. Samuel Williamson had 20 points and 18 boards. That's a 6'7" center, by the way, just for the record there. The all-time series sits at 19-10 in favor of the Cardinals. The Orange will try to redeem themselves from last year's 90-66 loss against Louisville. Hughes with 25 points and Girard with 22 points in that loss. Syracuse was 4 for 9 versus Louisville in the Big East. The two teams met twice in the Big East tournament, both times in the finals, and both times the Cardinals came out on top. No longer in the top 25, Joe, after the loss to Clemson. They were ranked 39th according to Ken Palm and 45th in the net. That makes this a quad 2 game. So, Joe, it's going to be a quick turnaround for Louisville. What can we expect? We've got a Radford transfer, Carlik Jones, who is 6'1", 185. He's leading the team in scoring with 17.8 points. And, they're not huge. That's why I'm not like super, super anxious about this game, especially with the turnaround. What do you think?
Well, it's weird because when you look at their team, I mean, I look at their team and they have when you look at their starting, Dre Davis, starting center, he's a freshman, 6'5", 220 pounds. So I don't know if like ESPN has this wrong or if he's really just a guard, but they have center. And they have another, Samuel Williamson, who he played 30 minutes and had 20 points and 18 rebounds today. And he is listed, I think, it's 6'7", 210.
I said all this already. If you were listening.
I'm sorry, but I'm just letting you know it's kind of weird that these guys have a 6'5" and a 6'7" guy listed as
centers.
Centers as long, along with Gabe Wisnitzer, who's a 6'11", 240-pound freshman. So I don't see. I mean, if they're listed as a center, then they can go down there and they can bang, and there's a reason for it. They kind of move their substitutions and who they play more minutes based upon the team. And I do see kind of when you look at the box score and some of these bigger guys, they're probably going to be playing more against us versus Minland or Trainer or some of these guys that they throw in when they play against 3-guard teams. So you got those guys that kind of substitute for the starters, Quinn Slazinski and Jalen Withers, who are 6'8" and 6'7" respectively as far as forwards go. And really the scoring, just like today, obviously Williamson had a day, but David Johnson and Carlik Jones, those are the guys. Those guys got 37 shots today. And that's going to be what they're going to do for us. I kind of like our matchup because other than Williamson, from what I see, nobody can really score down low. You take away Williamson, Johnson, and Jones today, and their team scored 18 points out of the 74. So you know who you got to guard.
It'd be a really, actually pretty decent, soft intro back in for Sidibe in a way.
Yeah, in a way it would, and we'd be able to see what we have. Obviously, David Johnson went 6 of 11 from 3 today. Carlik Jones, I know he can hit him too, but he went 0 for 4 in 5 of 17 today. So he had a bad day, so he's probably going to want to make up for that. And he's really the guy. He's the only senior. I think he's really the only guy that's above a junior on their team that plays. So it's a really young team. But he was a transfer from Radford who's averaged 20 points a game last year, and that's kind of the guy they rely on to make the plays, and Johnson just looks like a spot-up shooter. But he did have 10 rebounds as well. So those were really the guys. And even when I look at the matchup predictor on ESPN, I think they have like us as a 67 or 69% chance of winning the game. So I always never really understand that because it looks to me like Louisville is a better team.
Yeah, but they're not. But look, so the AP. Oh crap! I threw out my sheet. The AP, has got them. Had them recently in the top 25. But Ken Pom. I mean, I feel like Ken Pom that's an actual like real formula. It's not just people. It's not just people watching games or whatever and voting on stuff.
Right.
So to me, it's more of an accurate depiction of what these teams are, and they're 47th in Ken Pom.
Yeah,
and
right there with us.
Yeah, we're 39th. I'm sorry, they're 39th. We're 47th. Excuse me. So yeah, statistically speaking, using Ken Pom's formula, there, they are a little bit better of a team. I think it's because of the way they can score. I mean, these guys can score, dude. This Jones, this transfer, yeah.
Well, they can score, but their defense is ranked better than their offense. As far as our offense in Ken Pom is ranked higher, as far as offensive efficiency is ranked higher than Louisville's. It's
crazy because they are averaging 37 rebounds a game too right now. So that's quite a bit.
Yeah, well, when I looked at Ken Pom, when I look at their team, to me, it's a lot of the wins, they're more of a defensive team to me. They're more of a defensive rebounding team, and we're going to make it really, really hard for you to score because it's really not that easy for us too.
So it's going to be the matchup is where it's kind of really, honestly, where we want it. Really,
it is where we want it because I mean, if it was me, you have the two guards, Jones and Johnson, and you just got to take them out of their game. You got to stop them from being able to penetrate and kick, and take them off their spots on the 3-point line. And obviously, Williamson had a huge game. He scored 20 points, and he still only averages 8.8 for the season this year. So obviously he's a guy that's getting going and starting to carve out a role on that team. Especially, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him as a starter come. When's it? Wednesday?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
tomorrow's Tuesday.
I mean, hey, you go 20 and 18. And then the starter only played 16 minutes. Then you're probably going to start. But maybe that's a situation like Kadari and Joe where they wait and see. But those really are the guys you got to worry about. You want to try to make those big guys score, which is weird to say. But
they are fourth in the ACC right now. And I mean, they got a good record.
Oh, yeah. No, they have a good record, yes. And
I mean, they've beat Virginia Tech. They beat Kentucky. They've beat Pitt.
Yeah, but I look at their big guys, and their big guys don't. I don't know.
They beat Duke. So
I mean, I don't even know if their big guys equal a Helms and Bates. When I really, really look at the team, and really what makes the team go is their guards. And obviously, when you look at the box score today and you watch the game today, you'd think that Williamson guy is an animal, but he didn't even start the game, right?
Still played 30 minutes?
Played 30 minutes. He's averaging 27 for the year, but yeah, I mean, on paper, when I look at them, I mean, I looked at their team and I look at their record and they were top 25, but I haven't really got to watch them that much this year.
I haven't either. It's always tough.
But when you look at it, as far as when you look at their box scores and their stats and their lineup and their team and everything, I mean, you pretty much have a bunch of people that are sophomores or younger, and Carlick Jones, who's a transfer senior, that, I mean, good at Radford, but this is your first year with these players as well. So to me, this is a team that's going to be better by the end of the year, and I know that we're kind of getting there, but don't really know. Obviously, they're beatable, right? They just lost to Clemson this weekend.
They lost. They got. I'm sorry. That wasn't the game where Clemson smoked someone. It was close. It was 54-50. So they beat Duke. That was the game I watched. And I think it was the only game I watched. And, I mean, they're a decent team, man. We're going to have to see. I think it's going to be high scoring. Yeah. I'm going to give my prediction. You going to give a prediction?
Well, they're a decent. I'm not trying to downgrade
No. I know you're
not. Just I don't think it's the Louisville of old that it's not our,
Yeah, no. This team is like
It's not our father's.
this is almost a totally different team.
Yeah.
Than what we've
Pretty
seen
much.
in the past couple of years.
I mean, you got a bunch of sophomore and freshmen relying on a transfer guard.
Yeah. They got a Band-Aid this year because without them.
So, I mean, this is probably going to be a lot of these players' first look at our 2-3 zone and how to even deal with it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. I want to thank all of you who participated in fan feedback and BetOnline, Live CBD. And that's it. All right. Go Cuse, get Louisville. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.